Hello again, guys. Me tying another one of my favorite little streamers today for bass. It's very quick, very simple, very inexpensive to make, and it looks pretty cool. This is the streamer I'm talking about. Um, let's get to it. First, what you're going to need is a Attitude streamer, size 4 from Partridge. I'm using a dark olive UTC thread. Start it up at the eye of the hook and work your way back. So got the barb of the hook and cut that off. If you don't suck like me, what the hell? Doesn't matter. Next, you're going to use some olive wire from UTC. And work your way back. Next, you're going to use some light olive ice dub. And you don't have to dub this on super tight because you're just going to brush this out anyway. And you don't always have to use olive. This is just a really bassy color scheme. It kind of matches like a brim or a perch or any kind of bait fish, really. Sorry, didn't mean to hit your camera. I kind of suck at this. It looks like a hot mess, but just give it a second. Alright. Leave yourself a little bit of room up there because you're going to need it. Now, get a Magnum brown barred olive rabbit strip from Hairline. Cut about 1.25 inches off hide. Taper one end, and I take a lighter and singe one end. A lot of guys will trim that to a point because it makes it easier to tie in and less bulky, but I want it in this case because when you lay it flat on the hook with the untapered side, it kind of forms a cone around the top of the shank, and it just looks really cool. So go ahead and tie that in right at the front. Okay. Now wrap the wire around the ice dub and through the zonker. Make sure the zonker is straight on top of the hook. And you're going to do this about 4, 5, 6 times, whatever you want to do. The reason I do it this way versus just tying the back of a rabbit and ice dub and tying front of a rabbit, it's just more durable this way. It'll last a couple more fish versus tied in twice. You're actually more or less securing it 5 or 6 times to the hook. So just keep working your way all the way up. And once you get up to the top, I usually wrap it around twice up here and secure it. And then fold it back. And you can just twist it off. And you're not done yet, so just drop like a half hitch in. Take some Velcro or a little Stonefo brush and brush the crap out of it. Okay, now you're not done with this part yet. Now this fly is all about creating an extreme taper, because once it's wet it'll form a nice little middle profile. And the way we do that to keep the back half under control is we take a olive dyed mallard flank and just take the tip of it, place it right on top, and make sure the stem is right in line with the hook shank, or you're going to get a uncontrollable looking action to the tail, and you don't really want that unless that's your main goal, which some people do want that. Not me. I'll drop a wet finish in. I do two of them because I'm paranoid. Everybody knows that. Now drop a little bit of head cement or UV resin just right on there. Doesn't need a lot. Just a little drop will do just fine. Okay. Zap it. Alrighty. Now leave that in the vise. The front part is on a 25mm fish line. It's easier if you leave the hook in the vise. Just slide it down like that, and then you can remove the hook and slide this back in the vise. Now for this, I like to use a little bit thicker thread. You don't have to, just it's easier. This is a 210 light olive, I think. Just cover up the shank part, and this is, I find this extremely annoying, but there's no better way to do that really. So what I do to even this out and to give a little bit of weight, I take some 025 blood-free wire, start it right here at the gap, and give it 14 wraps. Why 14? Looks good enough because you're going to put eyes on it, and well, that's my lucky number. When I played hockey, that was my number for 17 years, so I don't know, very superstitious about crap like that, I guess. Cover it up with your thread. It doesn't have to be super neat because you're just going to cover all this up anyway. And then just to save some time, I'm not going to super glue this at all. Usually I will, just because I'm paranoid again. You don't have to switch your threads out at all or anything. You can if you want. I just don't really care. Now you're going to be taking a UV polar chenille in hot orange. And tie that in. And this is an important part to keeping the taper of the end fly. You're going to wrap this polar chenille to right behind where the gap on the bottom and where you started the lead wire. And I'll show you why in just a second. It should only be about 5 or 6 wraps. Maybe less. And it's 4 or 5. And then I'll just go ahead and secure that with a couple wraps of thread. Just let it hang there. Now you're going to take another zonker, taper it at one end, burn on the other. So it's about the same size, 1 1/4 inches. You're going to separate the fur, just like that, and place it right there on the hook. And notice how the fur stops about midpoint of the mallard flank. That's exactly what you want. You could wet this thing, some saliva just to keep it under control. It doesn't want to control or cooperate sometimes, so 2-3 wraps, fold it back. Alright, continue with your polar chenille all the way up to the end of where you stopped your thread. Brush it back with every turn. Make sure you're touching the last turn with your new turn. Okay, and I'll tie that off. You can fluff it all out, whatever you gotta do. Man, that's kind of messy. I apologize. Fold it all down to the bottom and flip the rabbit over. Now the reason we made it longer than it needs to be is because if you make it too short, you're not going to have enough hair up here. When it's wet, it's going to look really stupid, so you're going to want as much hair as possible right up to the eye of the hook. So just take your time with this and brush all this stuff, all the fur on this hide backwards, and then you're going to grab it with the thread, about 2 wraps. Make sure you pull it back again, just like this, and cinch it down, just like this. Now, it's going to be decent. Fold the hide over, catch the shank, and you can take a razor blade and just cut this off, just like this. It's easier than scissors. So, and tie that off. You're going to cover up this mess anyway, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Flip it over. Now you're going to take some the same color ice dub that you're using as polar chenille. This just adds a little bit more solidness to this when it's wet. So you don't need a lot. Just take a nice little pinch, make it all even. Find the midpoint of that clump, put it right underneath, wrap over once, twice, 3 times, fold it back, and secure it. Alright, you drop your whip on, two of them. Take your little comb, comb out that ice dub. Alright. Now, you're going to want to take some pliers, some little debarbing pliers, and you see how this is round? It's easier to set eyes on it if it's flat, so come in here and squeeze it flat. Alright, now get you some 8mm eyes. It doesn't really matter what brand or color or whatever. Some gel super glue. Just a little hair on the back. Angle a hook right towards your face and stick the eye right on there. Do the other side. Make sure it's nice and even in the front. Looks good. Let that dry. Once that's dry, I take Flex, put a little bit on both sides, cure it, and then I take the thick version, fill in the hole, cure it. I take the Flex again, go over the whole thing, and cure the whole thing so it's one solid head, and it looks like this. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. Tie you up some, and good luck.